Black Gay Table Talk brings you Marriage Sessions with Keenan and Dominic. With almost 20 years together, Dominic and Keenan work to bring light to what has them still going strong. Open your minds to new outlooks on companionship, trust, and loyalty.
Destiny sometimes packages your heart's desires in ways you can't fully comprehend. Coast down memory lane with all the laughs, tears, and triumphs worth celebrating.
And this is our love story.
Let's share.
Thanks for joining Marriage Sessions, brought to you by Black Gay Table Talk. I'm Keenan.
And I'm Dominic.
And this is our love story. So we will say right off the bat, we are not counselors, we're not therapists, but we just really want to share our story and how we made it to almost 20 years now, right?
Almost 20. We just celebrated something just recently, 2nd anniversary. So.
Yeah, we did. So for today's episode, we are discussing or talking about how we first met and almost 20 years later, what our love languages are that we're just now learning about. So get ready for the show. I will admit it's our first episode, so I'm happy that we made it here. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you for just, taking time to see what we have to share.
Yes, we really do appreciate it.
All right, so how did we meet?
Ooh, how did we meet? So it was a cold November day. I'm just playing. So
it actually was kind of cold.
Was it? Is it ever cold in Memphis? Probably so. But anyway, so we did meet actually at one of our previous jobs that we actually worked together. I just happened to be in the lunchroom one day, but I had seen him before this. So I had seen him several times before I decided to actually speak to him. And so I was sitting in the lunchroom, eating my lunch on my lunch break, and I saw him walk by going out to the patio. And I'm like, I should go out there and speak to him, because I've been seeing him all this time. I know he's seen me too. So I said, let me go say something. And so I went out to the patio. I went and spoke to him.
You did.
And I don't remember then if I did ask you to lunch or to go somewhere. I don't remember if that happened then, but I know something got set up where we ended up going to lunch, maybe like a few days or a week later. Yeah. And I remember that day specifically because it was raining. That day it was raining when we went to lunch.
It did rain.
Mm-hmm. And I was a gentleman. I went and got the car and brought it closer to the door with my umbrella and got him in the car. We only had an hour.
He laid it on.
We only had an hour, and there were a few things nearby, but I decided to take him. We went to Arby's because I do like their curly fries, and
that was our first date. Arby's.
Yeah, it was not bad.
Well, it was our lunch break.
Yeah,
so
and we had an hour.
It was close.
Yeah, and I should have be respectful of his time because I want to be him back late, from your actual lunch. So we went to lunch and just started having conversations, talking. And I think the conversation got real, deep when he asked this one question.
Okay, so let me just say, though, he had eyes on me at first. I didn't know that he had eyes on me. Other people actually had to tell me, like, I think he likes you. He was my trainer, right? So I didn't pay attention to it at first, but then after they mentioned it, I noticed he is smiling at me. He might want something. So when he did ask me out, finally, I guess that was getting deep because I wanted to know, why am I here? Mm-hmm. What are your intentions? Mm-hmm. What do you want from me? And everybody thinks he's a good boy. He's just so well behaved and mild mannered. And I say that because I asked, in that moment, what are you looking to have happen here? Mm-hmm. Like, what is your goal? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I want to hit.
And, I was 24. That
little nasty.
But that I was being very upfront and truthful. That's initially.
I can really appreciate that actually.
And I think he said, I can specifically remember what you said, but I know the answer was no. It came down to basically that. And so I think at that point, no, you made a comment about, I think it's check, please. We got to go. Something to that effect. It was time to roll back to work. So, um, we ended up going. I ended up taking back to work because we ended up going back to work or whatever. And I will admit, I don't remember what happened after that time, but I will say this. Um, I think being at 20, I started thinking about the fact that, hey, that's what I said to him initially. But you know what though? I was like, I'm 24. I would like to be in a relationship and start to, just be with someone I love, so forth. And so I said, you know what? I think maybe it's my mind started going on to maybe I need to go back and do better. And start to, actually come to him in a way that I would want someone to come to me if I wanted to be in a relationship. However, we ended up being friends for some time because things didn't really happen much during that time, except when I ended up going on that trip and then calling you.
Yeah, he
Give
made
that.
he made sure he he how can I put it? He made sure if there was something that I needed, he was the person that I called.
Mhm.
So, or even if something I wanted, and I can't name anything in particular, but I will say, um, through our conversations, like if I would say, "Oh, I need to do this," or "I need to whatever," he showed up, you
Mhm.
know? So I can't knock him. He went after what he wanted, and he made sure he secured, um, that element of what he'd be bringing to the table so that I could, see it in advance.
Actions. That
Now
goes
that you
back
say
to the
that,
five
it
languages, but
kinda
we'll
does.
get to it.
We will get to our 5 love languages. Wow, it does go back to that. So, needless to say, we are here. I don't know, I think when we met, I was in a place where, I don't know, I kinda grew up in a relationship, so for me, that time was important for me to be able to get to know who I am. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
who am I? What can I bring to the table? What do I like? What are some things that I know that I want, I need to have, and what are some things that I know I'm not gonna it's not gonna fly. So I think that you came during that process. So long story short, he came at a time where I was, coming into realizing what I wanted, you know. So that was really cool. The timing
Yeah, I think for me
was
too.
kind of
Because I think
divine.
I was in a relationship and ended it maybe about a year before. And I think I did like just being in a relationship, someone just being there, your partner, your ride or die. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get it together
Mhm.
and bring my true self and find someone I can spend, the rest of my life with. So,
Yeah.
and that's what actually happened. Kind of.
So you didn't enjoy like being single and the
I,
playboy lifestyle
I
or
for a minute. I mean, because because I had a friend literally everywhere they went, I would go because again, I did not travel much, and I got to travel for a little bit of a discount because I think he had points and all this stuff for his job, so it was nice traveling. I enjoyed it. I
and
did.
not being in a relationship during that time, you kind of got your travel in and
Yes, I kind of got my travel in, and just I guess not having to what's the word follow up, check in. That's the word. Check in with anyone.
check it.
There you go. Yeah,
Got
so
it.
I enjoyed it. But I was like, but again, I think that rejection from you that day sparked back in me what I wanted, which was a relationship. So,
Mm.
hmm
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say like you say you wanted a relationship, but when I asked you what you wanted,
it was not what I wanted because I was still in that single mode. So again,
got it.
that rejection sparked back because I think I hadn't been rejected before like that. So that did hit me a little hard. I'm like, you know what?
Really?
Yeah, it did.
But I didn't.
No, no, no. I mean, that not hit me. You weren't rude. You told me the truth. I was telling you my truth. You just told your truth. I mean, and that's basically what it was. It was not you're not being rude about it. You were like, no, hey, that's not me, bro. So,
Mhm,
can I check, please? Can we go? And I got it.
mhm,
I did not contest it or anything because I gave you my truth and you gave me yours. So,
yeah.
hmm
So, all right, we got a question, right? The question was, did you have a defined um ideal of what dating someone should look like?
okay.
So how would you answer that question?
Did I have a defined ideal of what dating someone would look like?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as expectations, I would just say, or what ideally, you go to someone, you're interested, you ask them out, you go on a few dates, and then it leads to intimacy, and then it leads to a relationship.
That was so like,
I mean, that's ideally what you expect,
yeah,
but that's not always the case. So, I mean, that's all I really kind of have to say behind that. This is like it was what you expect. But I think for men, though, I mean, I'll speak specifically gay men, I think basically sex does come way quicker, way sooner than many other types of relationships, I think.
true, true. I I feel like for me, mm, and not judging, right? So to each their own.
Hmm.
But for me, I first off, in order for me to even get there, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to have some type of comfort. I have to feel like there's a connection, like you know me, and that we share is really appreciated. Not to be so sappy and like, oh, I need the love story. Oh, but know me, know what turns me on, know what I like, be ready for the experience
Hmm.
because I don't know, I feel like, and I know we're not talking about sex, that's another episode, but sometimes it can be given this like, and I don't know what word to put on it, but it's not given what it truly is. It's an experience. I
Okay.
mean, and you want your experience to be the best that it could be. So you got to put a little work and do your research and figure out
Right.
what works, you
Hmm.
know?
Okay. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So what would you have done if I said, yeah, we can do it?
I would have done it. But then me, I probably would have.
Do you think we'd be here almost 20 years
I think
later
so.
if we had had sex
I
that
think
first time?
so.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because it's almost as if that it would have led into, ooh, this is great. So I want to continue this. But you know what though? They're gonna need more than than just that. So let me now bring the stuff I need to bring to this relationship or this getting to know one, whatever that looks like. So
Got it.
I think so. But I mean, it would have been different, definitely.
Yeah.
But then I mean, you can't, what's that hindsight's 2020. Then thinking, well, if you did, then would I have continued to pursue? So I don't know. Me personally, I think I would have because I think I wanted a relationship, but maybe I did not know maybe how to start it. I guess, or I
Mhm.
don't, I'm not positively sure. So, but I think we would be here still.
Yeah.
I think so.
But it's funny you say that. I think sometimes we can be ready or want certain things,
Hmm.
but not really knowing how to, start it
I agree.
sometimes can prevent us from having, you know what I'm saying? Like taking that step, not knowing fully, you know,
Hmm. I agree with you on that. Sometimes not knowing how to start something can prevent you from sometimes even starting it. So,
yeah.
um, so maybe that's my way of starting it was asking for the goods up front, and then giving the other stuff later. So, but I think we would still be here today.
Yeah.
No, the number of years together still. So, you know what? Even though you gave me your initial, I guess, answer when I asked you that question, what was going through your head?
I was like, this ninja, he brought me to Arby's thinking he about to get some. No, no, no. And take me back to work. But again, yeah, so a part of me felt like you didn't really want too much anyway. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Okay.
Like, I figured it was going to be something like it was because I don't know, like, you just don't have guys that often that, in my experience, had been serious about wanting something, or building something. So I kind of expected it.
What I did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but at the same time, my head was in a totally different space. So transitioning into our love languages,
Mhm.
what were yours, or what is your dominant love language?
Oh my God, actions. I forgot the actual way that
Acts
the
of acts of service.
acts of service. That is correct. So, I guess for the way that I guess the way for you to show me love would be for you to basically do things for me, if that makes sense. And I may do the same. I think is my way of showing it too. Like to give an example, let's just say if you are the one that normally walks the dogs, which I may be the one that normally does that, maybe one day, just out of the blue, you may decide, you know what, I'm going to walk those dogs for him. Because I know sometimes he does complain that it is a lot, blah, blah. I'm going to just do that for him. And I think doing that for me, it kind of shows that number one, I guess you do care a bit, but also to me, you do love me. Oh, he did that for me. That was nice. And that's what I like. I just being like, I don't need the gifts, or I guess it's nice to hear the words like "I love you," but I think doing things for me and almost kind of, I want to say giving me a break, but maybe taking it off my shoulder for that time. I don't know. It makes me feel good, and I would mind doing the same for others. Like there's something, just to do something for you as a way to show that I do love you would be that acts of service. So that's my love language.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So according to the quiz, mine are well, I can actually see that. So first off, yeah, I can see acts of service because you to even with me, I feel like the way that you show love, not
Hmm.
necessarily only from the perspective of, people doing it for you, but that's how you show love. You show love by doing things
Hmm.
um for me.
Hmm.
Mine would be oh gosh, well, mine are kind of neck and neck as far as my top or dominant love languages, but one is uh affirmations, right? So um I do like having the the words, right? So I do want to hear "I love you" or "Hey, I thought about you," and I like to hear that you love me. I don't want to be in a position where I have to assume how you feel.
Right.
Like I want to hear it. Let me
Hmm.
know whether good or bad. Let me know. And the other, so there's the affirmations, and then the other is physical touch.
Hmm.
So I love touch. Like hold me, hug
Hmm.
me, kiss me.
Hmm.
Um, it's just something I don't know. Like I'm big on energy. So
Hmm.
I know it may sound weird, but I feel like you can sense a person through seeing into their eyes, and then you can also sense them by what vibrations you pick up from them when they touch you. Or it could be a handshake or whatever, but that stimulation of the touch, I don't know, it gives you that warmth. And
Hmm.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I like it too. It wasn't on the top of my list, but yeah, I think that touching part is very important. And even kind of going back to the beginning of our relationship, you were very, I won't say talkative, but like your communication was way more than mine.
oh,
That's what I'm trying to say. Like the way, because I didn't like, for example, like talking over the phone and stuff like that. It's just like holding the phone, sitting there talking. That takes a lot for me. It takes a lot of energy. And again, your community, like so, I can see that because your communication is very very big. It's very heavy, and I even now, like sometimes out of the blue, say, "Do you love me?" I feel like, "Yes, I do. I do love you, babe, very much." And it's like he'll ask me these just random questions tied to love, and I do not mind sharing in that moment how much I do love him. But I think it's his way of not just reassurance, but just I guess of him me just communicating to him how maybe he wants to be, shown that he is loved. So I don't
yeah.
mind that.
I think it kind of goes into me being a fixer too. Like
Okay.
naturally I have that spirit of wanting to fix or, at least being in the know. So
Hmm.
if I ask you how you feel, it gives me what I need. Or if I ask you the questions or the series of questions, it gives
Hmm.
me what I need to know what steps I need to take
Gotcha.
next.
But he be in his head a lot too. So I think what it is actually is he's just thinking and turning and whatever, and then that comes to mind. Oh, let me ask him. Let me ask him if he
Nine
loves
times
me.
out of ten, that's it.
Because I promise you, he takes vacations. He really do in his head. That's what I mean. So I think that's where he goes sometimes, and he comes back and oh, you know what? Let me ask him or something like that. So it's funny because sometimes you see him like he went somewhere. It's funny, but um and yeah, ah, I just something about maybe I don't know, and I'm maybe thinking back like when I was younger. I think, what, thinking about it, when you are like in school and stuff like that, remember like you maybe had to do like Valentine cards and all that other stuff in school. It was almost like an act of service, meaning you were getting something, creating this for your parents or whatever that was, and you were kind of giving it to them to show, that you did love them, or, the best way to show love to your parents is to clean up your room and do what you're supposed to do. So I don't know. I'm trying to think like where did it come from for me, So
I don't know, but going back to what we mentioned a moment ago, when we first met, you made
mhm.
sure that you were the guy that I called. Like, and it could be something like, oh gosh, well, I'm about to go and get my oil changed. Like, and instantly, oh, well, I'm not doing anything at this time or on this day. I'll go
Mhm.
do it for you. Or,
Mhm.
you know what, I'm about to book me a spa visit or something like that. Up, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So, literally through talking to me, he found those ways to act or those things to do to let me know that he was feeling me. But I thought he was a playboy. Like I thought, he had his little pieces and he
Mhm.
just wanted me to be one of those pieces too.
Okay. Yeah.
But it took him you were in Florida
Mhm.
and you had traveled with your friend,
Mhm.
I want to say to Sizzle. But
Mhm. Miami, yeah.
he calls me. I thought he was drunk. I thought he had been drinking. He was like, "I love you. I want to be with you. Um, I've never met anybody like you. Like,
Which is
let's do
true.
this."
That's all true.
And I was like, No, no, it's okay. I understand. You've been drinking. Just make your way back to your room. Where's your friend? Get your friend. Go lay down. It'll be okay." Um,
Yeah, because him and I were talking, and I think he was talking about who he was dating at the time and how he really loves him. And it's like, but it's so difficult because I think they were like in different places or something or whatever. And so he then started asking me about you. And I think it led to him saying, well, call him and tell him. Because I was
mhm.
telling him how, I really like him. Like, you know, even though he did do this, blah, blah, blah in the beginning, it's like I'm really getting to know him as a person. And, I don't know if I met your family at that point. I'm not sure. But it was
No, that
like,
was one of my things. Like before I even say we're gonna do it, you got to meet my family.
hmm
Let me
yeah,
see what the
and
vibe
yeah,
is.
but I just felt really comfortable in knowing that I do like him. I do like him a whole lot, and I can see myself with him. And then he said, well, "Do you love him?" Yes. You know what? I do. I can say that. And so I called you, I think, and I said those things. He was like, well, he really was like, "Where's your friend? You okay? Everything all right? Hey, you'll be back in Memphis in a few days. We can talk
Yeah,
later." He was
I,
just trying to get me off the
I was like,
phone.
go ahead. Just we'll wait till you get back and we'll talk about it then.
hmm
And you came back, and when he came back, that was his thing. He wanted
hmm
to make sure he was able to secure
And
the
I think
bag.
that's when it
So
started. Right? That's when it led to this. It led to our journey. It led to all of this.
true.
Yeah, it did.
Interesting.
hmm
So of course, we've had time to think back on how we would have liked for things to go, or how we would have wanted it to be.
hmm
Is there anything that you would have changed or would have tried to make sure that you'd done a better job at?
hmm Um, maybe I'll just say our first initial date. Maybe just changing up what I said initially.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. So
Changing up
because
what
I
you said,
think,
but what you said was what you wanted, right?
which
So
is true, but I think in actuality, going back, I did want more. I
yeah,
just didn't maybe know how to come forth and say that, I guess.
okay, I
So
get it.
maybe that I definitely maybe change that because um, I think it'll tie back to accountability because I know because you don't forget nothing, y'all. So I think if I come to him with that up front, And I think being more upfront about what I really wanted, he would have held me accountable to it, which then would have meant I would have had to follow through.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, I think I would. Maybe that's the only part that I would have changed. That's all I can.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So again, my two love languages that are most dominant are words of affirmation and physical touch,
Mm,
and yours are acts of service.
acts of service. Yeah.
So I guess the biggest thing, and mind you, we're finding out what these love languages are now, right? So I guess me thinking back, like, how did it work with us, having these different ways of, receiving and giving love?
Right.
Like,
That's true.
what do you think some things are that helped us make it this far without knowing?
Good question. I think communication. I will say this because I'm not much of a talker, really not. But he will bring up these conversations, and I have to converse. And I think it's not that I don't want to talk. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just like I'm not. I guess not to be stereotypical, but men can be a bit quiet and not really speak much on their emotions and feelings. But it's like he gets me to do that, and so I think number one, communication between us has definitely kept us where we are today. Um, you gotta communicate. You have to.
True.
Um, I don't
It
know. I can't
sounds
think
so
of any. I know it does.
generic to say
Hmm.
communication because communication can't always be spot on. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Like,
true.
it's good to have good communication or practice, different skills within, different
Hmm.
types of communication, I should say. But
Hmm.
um, I think will plays a part.
Okay.
Like, even in those times where the communication is off, or in those times where it's good, because you can be a great communicator and communicate that you just don't want to do what's required in the relationship. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? But I think that having that will can push you through those moments, whether it's going good or bad. Am I
Mhm.
making sense? Yeah.
No, it is. You are.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny because as soon as you said will, I just thought about work. Only because at work, it's all this thing is always about will or skill,
Mm,
and it's
yeah.
how basically um sometimes, as a well, come back to work as a leader, you try to build the skills, but if they don't have the will to actually do it, then
Mhm.
really there's nothing you can do. So
Right.
you are correct. I think will just play a part because I may have had the skill or there may be the communication, but there has to be a will to push through that.
Mhm.
And if you don't
Mhm.
have the will to push through that, then there's no relationship. There's
True.
no I'll say there's no good relationship because communication and trust does actually
True.
play a huge
True.
part.
Yeah.
But I
And
think
by
that,
the
yeah,
oh, go
but
ahead.
also the communication leads to trust. So that's why the communication is so important. That's all. Just want to add
True.
that.
True. I think, well, by the way, you can visit fivelovelanguages.com. Take the quiz. It might help you out if you're dating,
Hmm.
looking for someone, or if you're in a relationship. It can help. I think if we'd had this maybe back earlier on,
Hmm.
some situations might have been easier.
I was
But
gonna say it could be a good conversation starter. So what's your love language?
like,
Like in a date
what you
or
mean? What's my love
something.
language? What do you want?
Right, right.
Like,
I just thought of it. It could be a good conversation starter, but
it
yes.
can. It
Hmm.
can. So you have been with us for today's episode. I think we'll wrap it up here. If you haven't already, stop by blackgaytabletalk.com. That's www.blackgaytabletalk.com. There you can subscribe for some of our premium episodes,
Hmm.
have the opportunity at some merch.
Yes. Some
Um,
really good stuff, y'all.
right. Actually, Dominic is wearing our Black LGBTQIA Pride
Can we see it? Can we see
shirt.
it? There we
Yeah.
go.
Yes. And I have the Inspire Black Gay Table Talk shirt. But yeah, you can visit us. You can take a look at some of our merch. Walk with us on this journey.
Hmm.
Black Gay Table Talk is a newer podcast series offering, but hopefully you've enjoyed us and you will be back. Please like, comment, and share.
Yes. Do
Thanks for
share.
thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.